It was the mission that fulfilled humanity's greatest dream, to land on the moon. Here's why Apollo 11 is one of the most significant moments in history. So the story goes here. On July 16th of 1969, a massive Saturn V rocket blasted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, carrying a crew of 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Their mission was to make history by landing on the moon and returning safely to Earth. The mission was designated Apollo 11, and it was the culmination of nearly a decade of work by NASA, which had been, it had been established in response to the Soviet Union's early successes in space exploration, including the Soviet launch of Sputnik and the first human space flight by Yuri Gagarin. Now, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union was in full swing during the 1960s, and President John F. Kennedy's challenge to land a man on the moon by the end of the decade was seen both as an incredible feat, especially technologically, and also a symbol of American ingenuity and determination. And the moon landing would show the world that the United States was capable of achieving what many thought was impossible, and it was a moment that would forever change the way humanity viewed the cosmos. So after months of intense training, Apollo 11's crew boarded their spacecraft, Columbia, which was the command module, and an Eagle, which was the lunar module, and they began their journey toward the moon. As the spacecraft traveled through the vastness of space, the world watched in awe. And on July 20th of 1969, after 4 days of travel, Apollo 11 entered lunar orbit, and Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin prepared to descend to the surface in Eagle. Michael Collins would remain in orbit aboard Columbia, but he would be alone. But he would be vital to the success of the mission, as he would be the one that would ensure the command module was ready to return to Earth. Now, the descent to the lunar surface was anything but easy. Armstrong and Aldrin faced technical issues with their guidance systems, and they were forced to take manual control of the lunar module. As the Eagle neared the surface, Armstrong famously uttered the words, "Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed." And the world erupted in celebration. And after years of work, humanity had just accomplished something that seemed impossible. A few hours later, Neil Armstrong became the first human to set foot on the moon. His iconic words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," echoed across the globe as millions of people watched the live broadcast on television. Armstrong was followed shortly by Buzz Aldrin, who became the second person to walk on the lunar surface. Together, they spent about 2.5 hours walking on the moon, collecting samples and conducting experiments. They planted the American flag, leaving behind a symbol of their achievement, and placed a plaque that read, "Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." The mission was not only a technological and scientific triumph, but also a moment of immense cultural significance. For the first time in history, humanity had stepped onto another celestial body. It was a moment of unity for the world, a time when people from all nations could share in the awe of what had been accomplished. The moon landing also demonstrated the incredible capabilities of the human spirit, the drive to explore, to push beyond boundaries, and to dream the impossible. As Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins made their way back to Earth, the world was still in celebration. Apollo 11 had completed its mission, landing on the moon and returning safely to Earth. And it had done so without loss of life, something that many feared could happen on such a dangerous journey. The crew returned to Earth on July 24th of 1969 and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, where they were greeted by cheers and celebrations. Apollo 11 had not only achieved Kennedy's goal, but also had cemented its place in history as one of the most remarkable achievements of the 20th century. The success of Apollo 11 opened the door for future space exploration. It demonstrated the potential of space travel and spurred on further missions like Apollo 12, Apollo 13, and ultimately the Space Shuttle program. But the Apollo program's significance went beyond just space exploration. It marked a turning point in the Cold War. It showcased American technological superiority over the Soviet Union, and it served as a source of inspiration for generations to come. The astronauts of Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, became national heroes, and their legacy continues to inspire future generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers. Armstrong's famous words still resonate, and the Apollo 11 mission remains a symbol of what humanity can achieve when it works together towards a common goal. Why does Apollo 11 matter? First of all, this was a recommended topic by a friend and former colleague, Chad. He sent me a message, and I'm happy to do this. But also, the Apollo 11 story matters because it represents the power of human ingenuity and perseverance and collaboration. It was a moment when humanity reached beyond its earthly confines and accomplished something that was once thought impossible. The mission not only advanced our understanding of space, but it also inspired future generations to continue exploring and striving for greater achievements. Beyond the technical achievements, Apollo 11 served as a symbol of unity. It was a moment when the world came together to witness a historic event, and it reminded us of the power of shared dreams and aspirations. In today's world, as we face new challenges in space exploration, the legacy of Apollo 11 continues to guide us, reminding us that even the most ambitious goals are achievable if we dare to dream big. So, as we kind of wrap this up here, Apollo 11 wasn't just about landing on the moon. It was about proving that humanity is capable of achieving the extraordinary. The legacy of Apollo 11 continues to inspire, pushing us to explore, to dream, and to reach for the stars. If you were able to learn something new today or expand your depth of knowledge, mission accomplished. Just please like, comment, follow, share, or question for more things that you should know by being alive, because knowing the story of Apollo 11 helps us understand the importance of vision, determination, and human achievement. I'd like to thank you for watching.